They were told they were racially inferior. They were told they lacked the intelligence to handle modern fighter aircraft. They were not supposed to succeed. But in the face of bigotry and ignorance, the Tuskegee Airmen prevailed. With skill and bravery, this all-black fighter squadron shattered racist stereotypes. And their exploits became the stuff of legend. Now you're in the cockpit as red-tailed Mustangs take on swarms of Nazi fighters. Experience the battle. Dissect the tactics. Relive the dogfights of the Tuskegee Airmen. July 18, 1944. 66 red-tailed Mustangs of the 332nd Fighter Group, the Tuskegee Airmen, soar over the Po River Valley in northern Italy. Their mission? Escort B-17 Flying Fortresses on their way to bomb an airbase in Memmingen, Austria. Flying with 302 Squadron is Captain Wendell Pruitt and his wingman, Lieutenant Lee Archer.
Pruitt was my man. That's it. If he had gone to hell, I would have followed him.
Pruitt and Archer are known as the Gruesome Twosome. Pruitt, a gifted and supremely confident fighter pilot. Archer, a loyal wingman with great skill and determination of his own.
We used to fly above the bombers and sort of weave over them because we were a little faster than them and were a little higher, less resistance.
Suddenly, someone calls out enemy aircraft at 3 o'clock low. Heading for the bombers, a single flight of 4 Me-109s. The Gruesome Twosome are sent into action. Archer follows Pruitt through a wide, swooping turn.
The purpose of me being a wingman, I always thought, was to keep Pruitt's back end from getting trouble.
Pruitt singles out one of the Me-109s. The German spots the danger and brakes. The Mustangs turn in pursuit, straining against the pull of G. Archer fights to stay in trail of his lead through the wild maneuvers.
Pruitt would follow him in a turn, and then when he straightened out, he'd make a little short burst.
Tracers streak past the 109. The German brakes. The Gruesome Twosome stick with him, but soon Archer senses that something is wrong.
The other aircraft straightened out 3 times, and Pruitt didn't fire. And so I pulled up next to him and said, you know, what's going on?
Pruitt signals that his guns are jammed. He motions for Archer to take the lead. Archer throttles up and closes on the enemy. The 109 jinks and dives, but to no avail.
I made the burst, it hit him. Then the second burst hit in his right wing, and he bailed out.
It is Lee Archer's first victory.
I circled him until he landed. And he was standing there with his chute, and I came down over him. I wiggled my wings first and then pulled up into the slow roll before I turned off. It was all about how I thought about aerial combat in those times.
But back with the rest of the 332nd, the fight is still raging. As many as 30 more ME-109s are attacking the bombers from all directions. Lieutenant Clarence Lucky Lester hears his flight lead call over the radio. Bandits, 3 o'clock high.
So, at that point, flight leader calls punch tanks. That means drop your tanks, let's hit after the enemy.
Lucky and the rest of his flight bank right on an intercept course. But then, Lucky spots an even better target. A flight of 109s slightly below him.
That training kicks in and reflexes take over and you're an animal. And you're out for the kill. You're on the hunt. You're going to get it done.
The Germans have not yet spotted him. At 200 feet, he unleashes a torrent of machine gun fire.
The airplane starts to smoke and it explodes. Pieces are flying all over, debris coming at him, he's dodging the debris.
Lucky bobs and weaves through the flaming wreckage. Miraculously, his aircraft is unscathed.
Off to his right, probably just with the swivel of the head, left and right, he notices another 109. He peels over to the right, gets behind this second 109, and he gives him the works.
The 109 shudders and smokes. Lucky deftly rolls over the top of the doomed German. He watches as the pilot throws back the canopy and leaps away. Lester has downed 2 aircraft, but the fight has carried him far away from the bombers. Skimming the peaks of the Italian Alps, he spots a 109 at 2 o'clock low.
Altitude is a key with fighter pilots. They call it being on the perch. Like a bird on a perch, you see something down below, you dive on it. Therefore, with Lester being on the perch, he had the advantage. He could get in on that Messerschmitt before the Messerschmitt knew what was happening.
Lucky rolls into a high-speed diving attack. His Merlin engine screams as the Mustang accelerates past 350 miles per hour. His finger closes around the trigger. A volley of tracers arc across the nose of the 109. The German brakes hard, rolling inverted in an attempt to evade the American. But the move is ill-advised. He's far too low. Lucky Lester watches in stunned amazement as the 109 slams into a hillside. Lester soars over the wreckage, exhilarated by the intense dogfight. Alone, he's accounted for 3 enemy aircraft. The rest of the 332nd downed 9 more for a total of 12. Their most successful day of air combat to date. It is a milestone for the Tuskegee Airmen, a fighter group whose battle against the German Luftwaffe is only half the story. Deemed by the War Department as inferior to whites and unable to handle the intricacies of modern weaponry, black soldiers were relegated to support roles. Flying fighter planes was out of the question.
It was thought, over the objection of Hap Arnold, who was in charge of the Air Corps at that time, that blacks didn't have the ability to do complicated things, the leadership, etc. We knew that was wrong.
Under pressure from the black press, the NAACP, and even his own wife, President Roosevelt relented in 1939 and ordered the civilian pilot training program to be open to black students who wished to become civilian pilots. In December of 1940, the War Department followed suit and appropriated $1 million to build a suitable base to train black airmen at the Tuskegee Institute in Alabama. They called the effort to train these men an experiment. The men bonded immediately, imbued with a sense of common purpose and racial pride.
Although the Army didn't believe in our capability, they didn't change the training standards, and that was a plus for us, that we were able to meet the standards and perform successfully.
And World War II gave us a chance to go into combat units and do a first-class job so the larger population would realize how silly and stupid segregation was.
In April of 1943, the first full squadron of African-American fighter pilots, the 99th Fighter Squadron, received orders for deployment to the Mediterranean Theater of Operations. By June of 1944, the 99th had joined 3 other all-black fighter squadrons. Together, they comprised the 332nd Fighter Group, known to history as the Tuskegee Airmen. August 24, 1944. American B-24 and B-17 bombers of the 5th Bomb Wing approached their target, Pardubice Airfield in Czechoslovakia. Escorting them are 52 red-tailed Mustangs of the 332nd Fighter Group, the Tuskegee Airmen.